Ready?
Yeah.
You look ready.
Scotland is an eradicated wasteland. Within it lies a city. Outside the boundary walls, a desert, a cursed earth. Inside the walls, a cursed city, stretching from Dunoon to Glasgow, an unbroken concrete landscape. 800 million people living in a ruin of old world and mega structures of the new one. Mega blocks, mega highways. Glasgow City 1, convulsing, choking, breaking under its own weight. Citizens in fear of the street, the gun, the gang. Only one thing fighting for an order of chaos. The men and women of the Hall of Justice, juries, executioners, podcasters. Are you ready, rookies?
Yes, sir.
Is that not your Batman? Is that not your Batman voice?
You don't look ready. It's my Batman voice, but he kind of talks like Batman, so I thought I'd get away with that.
Good, man. I thought you just had the flu that everyone's been getting.
Struggled near the end. Anyway, that was a quote from Dredd from 2012. So we are Seismic Cinema. I'm James. I probably wrote an essay on it. Paul?
I've usually watched it in the wrong order.
And Colin?
I hadn't seen it.
And does this hold true? Have you not seen it?
I hadn't seen it. No.
Yeah, okay, so that's good.
I'd heard you guys mention it a few times.
Well, every cool person and their dog knows what Dredd is, man.
A few things to address again. Happy New Year to all the viewers and listeners. Hope you had a good one bringing the bells in. And a big welcome back to Paul. Good to see you, man.
Hello there. Yeah, it's good to be back. I just thought I'd make an appearance for this movie because I love it so much. Not to give it away too early in the game, but I see the Santa Claus nonsense and all that. Nah, given that, I swear. But as soon as Dredd came up, I was like, I'll make some time.
No, it's good to see you, man. Colin, you doing all right, mate?
Aye, it was a shock when I opened up the WhatsApp and Paul was asking for a StreamYard code.
With the meme, the Independence Day meme, that was good.
Also, I meant to say it's good to see you guys too. I forgot to put that in the end there. Just
it's okay, mate.
Missed you and all that,
At the time, I forgot to ask how somebody was and get vilified for it.
That's okay, man. The psyche can make you read your mind anyway, mate. We're all good. Okay, so a wee bit of housekeeping then, folks, before we get cracking. So you can follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Threads, TikTok, Blue Sky, and Facebook page, as well as the community group that we have on that. You can also watch and listen to us on YouTube and Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Audible, and Amazon Music. And I think we're trying to get ourselves onto other streaming platforms as well. So look out for that.
We're also on Castbox.
Excellent. So Castbox.
What even is that?
Yeah.
Don't know.
If you're listening to this on Castbox, then thank you.
They've got an app, so.
Excellent. And also, we are part of the Podpack Collective, a group of like-minded indie podcasters trying to make the podcasting scene a better place. Check them all out on Twitter. Again, variety podcasts that might suit you. Okay.
But we name change, remember?
Sorry?
Nerdstalgic have rebranded.
Yes, it's the Howdy Beans podcast he is now. So, yep, so you can look out for that as well. So, Nostalgic is no longer there. It is the Howdy Beans podcast. Thanks, Colin. Also, we shout out to Wits of Script and the friends of the podcast. Their latest episode on was Argo before the Christmas holidays, which was a great listen. So, keep up the good work, guys. Okay. So before we get into the Dredd review, I want to know, it's been a wee while. We've done the Christmas, after the Christmas holidays and whatever. Have you been watching anything at all? So I'm going to go to you, Paul, first of all. Have you been watching anything new or?
Do you want me to tell you everything I've been watching since I was last on?
No thanks. Just from the last couple of weeks, mate, please.
Last couple of weeks. So been watching Spec Ops Lioness on Paramount. It's Zoe Saldana. Zoe Saldana is the main actress in it, and she's basically like a spy, CIA kind of handler, and she just runs covert missions and gets like, it's hard to explain without spoiling it for people, but it's like a lot of action, stuff at home as well, but it's like really good. So I didn't think my girlfriend would like it because it was like in like military kind of based, but she really loved it as well. So we watched that. Started watching Teacup, which is a bit of a sci-fi, show. Not really sure where it's going yet. It's a bit strange. Set on a farm and weird stuff's happening. So we're watching that. Watch Squid Game. I know you were saying before the show, James, that you're going to start watching season 2. Is that right?
It's on the list, mate. I'm not going to start watching it
On the
now,
list.
but it's on the list.
Yeah. So we binged it over New Year. So we watched like the whole series from like, I think it was like 10 at night to like 5 in the morning. But yeah, thoroughly enjoyed it. Bit different from the first season, but
Season
I think
2
you'll
worth
like
it
it.
then. I've not watched season 2 yet.
Yeah, I would say so. There's a bit less involved in the games, but it does get to that point. But there's more stuff surrounding it. But I won't spoil it for you. But it's really good. I really enjoyed it. So, and then what else have I been watching? How do we dabble in the new DCU? Watching Creature Commandos, the animated show that James Gunn has done. It's got like Frank Grillo doing some of the voices, Alan Tudyk, the K2SO from Rogue One, does some of the voices as well. But yeah, that's really good. I really enjoyed that. And I've dabbled in Skeleton Crew. I didn't think I was going to watch it, but had some free time. One of the mornings I woke up and I'm actually not hating it. Quite. It's actually not too bad.
It's grown on me.
Yeah, it's got a lot of heart. I'll say it's got a lot of heart. So I'm not hating it. I'm hating one of the kids. So I hate one of the kids. I don't condone it, but that wee kid needs gone, disappeared, donezoed.
That's you cancelled already.
Yeah. Advocating a child to get killed on a TV show. But in the TV show, not in real life, on the TV show, because he's annoying. But yeah, that's probably over the new year. I've been watching just wee daft things. What about you guys?
Colin?
I won't tell you everything because I've watched a lot of stuff. Watched the Gavin and Stacey finale. I watched the Gavin and Stacey documentary they put on New Year's Day. I watched the Lost documentary. Thanks to Paul's Amazon. I finished The Good Place, which I would highly recommend. James, I think you in particular would probably quite like it if you got into it. Not sure about Paul. What else have I watched? I watched, what's it called? Was it Dark? Was it Dark Game? The new kind of one on Netflix. It's like a...
Oh yeah, I watched that as well.
I thought it was alright.
Ed Westwick.
I thought it was alright. And what else? Skeleton Crew I've been watching. I've been starting watching the new season of The Traitors on iPlayer. I like that show. And there's probably... I'm watching a show on Now TV based on a true story. It's about like a couple that are into true crime and they discover this prolific serial killer and they like start doing a podcast with him. It's like Kaylee Cuoco at a Big Bang Theory. She's the lead in it. So yeah, I've been watching more things than that. Got my Ted Lasso box set for Christmas, so I've been started watching that last night. So I've had quite a few things going on because it's the holidays, but obviously that'll, once I'm back at work on Monday, that'll start to narrow down.
Aye. Busy. Well, just a few things, mate. I watched Jumanji 1 and 2, how the new one with the Rock. Well, I say new one, it's been there for a while now, but seen him before, obviously, but just kind of good fun to watch this time of year. I still prefer the original right enough over them. They're not bad films, to be fair, but just prefer the original. Like yourself, Colin, I watched the Lost documentary.
Enjoy it.
Really enjoyed it, actually. I mean, there's some stuff that we were talking about I already knew anyway. Do you know what I mean? There was some things that I didn't know, but it was fine. For 2 hours, it went in quite quickly, I thought. Did you enjoy it?
I thought it was a bit. Obviously, I understand why they did it. It was a bit strange that they started going into all the controversy in the writers' room. It just seemed a wee bit.
That was so bizarre.
Not the time for it, but
yeah, it just seemed kind of thrown in there, didn't it? I just didn't see the need for that. Just talk about the actual show and the characters, no all that stuff. But
it was good to see so much of the cast there. There was like Desmond and Penny doing like their phone call and things like that. It was nice.
And it's good to see. It was good to see that my favourite episode is the show is kind of the constant, the one with Desmond and Penny. So that was good.
Yeah.
Obviously sad to don't see Jack there, Matthew Fox, but
there's been a few fallings out, I think, with him and some of the cast.
All right. I'm going to give Sons of Anarchy a try as well. I've not watched it yet. I started watching the first episode and I fell asleep just because I was tired. Nothing to do with the show. But I'm going to give that a shot as well. And obviously Dredd for today's podcast review.
Oh, can I just give a couple of honourable mentions as well? Just I remembered a couple of movies I watched just the last few days.
Right, okay.
Sorry, James, I'm sorry. I watched Heretic with Hugh Grant, and that was, I thought, really, really good. So it's like a psychological one, like there's a lot of dialogue in it. So it's like when you need to kind of keep pace with, but it's like all about like religion and stuff, which I find really fascinating. So if you're looking for something a bit cerebral with a hint of a horror, then I'd give that a shot. And I watched Scream 6 the other day. I hadn't seen it when it came out, and I thoroughly enjoyed that as well. I quite like the new Scream films, so it was decent. But sorry, that's me done. I just had to put it out there. Those two films are good.
You've had 6 months of stuff to cover. It's fine.
I'm just bursting with excitement. That's all.
If you want to chime in halfway through the pod, mate, you're welcome to do so.
Lion King. Oh, I went to see Mufasa, but anyway, we'll move on.
Anyway, so let's get into what people are here to listen to. Dredd, it was released in 2012. The director was Pete Travis. It was written by John Wagner, Carlos Ezguera, and Alex Garland. The cast for the film, I've only written down 3, mate, just because they're the main 3 characters. So Carl Urban, who plays Judge Dredd, Olivia Thirlby as Anderson, and Lena Headey as Mama, who we know from Game of Thrones. The budget for the film was 50 million, and it took in 41 million, so it bombed.
Ooh.
It bombed.
So sad.
So I know, it just so it didn't make any money off it, really.
No.
I'm surprised at that.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, see when this movie first came out, I don't remember seeing it anywhere like advertised or like any campaigns for it or anything at all. And this would have been right up my alley too. So I just find it weird that like it just wasn't really visible anywhere to me. If you know what I mean, compared to like nowadays where like everything is like repeated like a million times a day. But I don't remember seeing Dredd advertised at all.
No, neither I come to think it. So on IMDb, it scored a 7.1 rating. Rotten Tomatoes with an 80% critic score, which is damn good considering it's Rotten Tomatoes. And then you compare it to the budget, the money it took and things. It just doesn't make sense. The tagline for the film was "The Judgment is Coming," It won 2 awards. It won the Empire Award for the Art of 3D, recognising the exceptional use of 3D technology, and it won the Golden Trailer Award for the Best Thriller TV Spot, which was to do with the marketing campaigns. Marketing campaign, there you go. Chip me, I don't even know, remember it being
that marketing campaign that none of us saw.
the marketing campaign promoting the film, but there we go. So it won the award, but didn't do so well in the box office. Aye. Synopsis of the film for those who haven't seen it. In a violent, futuristic city where the police have the authority to act as judge, jury, and executioner, a cop team with a trainee take down a gang that deals with the reality-altering drug called slow-mo. So it's quite a short and sharp synopsis there, but really it just takes place in really one big kind of tower block, which is it's a great setting for it, and the odds are against them really. So before I get into the trivia and all that, I just want to know your history of the film. I'm going to go to you, Paul, because we've already covered Colin. He's not seen the film before, so yourself, when did you first see it?
I think it must have been. It was definitely when it first went streaming. I think because I never knew it was in the cinema, never heard about it going in the cinema, and I went on streaming and I seen it, and you know I think it may have been after The Boys came out, possibly like the first season of The Boys or something. I seen Carl Urban, and I like Carl Urban from like Lord of the Rings and stuff like that, and like Doom, even though Doom's a terrible movie, just quite like Carl Urban. And then I just turned it on, and I think it's also probably get to this later on, like the comparisons with the Raid and stuff like that. I think I'd seen the Raid before this, and then when this came out, I watched it on streaming, and I love the Raid, so end up this was like another movie I really enjoyed. But yeah, I think it was after watching Carl Urban and The Boys, and it's maybe just one of these things where it's like suggested or it's like he's also in or something like that. That's when I came across it. And then obviously, like nowadays, like Facebook algorithms and all that kind of stuff, after you've watched something, you start seeing like hundreds of stuff about it and the big online clamour for sequels and all that kind of thing. So yeah, that's when I first came across it. It was probably around about when The Boys came out, I think.
Right, okay. I had got this in DVD. Again, just a kind of random pickup at the shop. So I actually had it in DVD. I don't have it anymore. Just the way that the DVDs have became obsolete to physical media, which are coming back, to be fair. But nah, I've seen it ages ago. But I seen the Raid first, like yourself. Because the Raid was on like the Raid was on like streaming platforms and all that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Well, and I've never seen this on a streaming platform. You know what I mean, for free anyway. So, aye. So I seen it. So I seen it a wee bit earlier than you, but I did it in DVD. Anyway, Colin, I know you haven't seen the film before, and this is your first time seeing it and watching it. But did you manage to pick up any trivia?
Yeah, my trusty little. I was only a couple actually, to be honest. So I thought this was quite good, just about Carl Urban. So he went right into the method acting for this one, and he refused to smile or take his helmet off at any point, even like breaks between the takes. And he basically just stayed in character the whole time. And a cast member made a joke, and he just gave him the Dredd stare, and the person then apologized, which I thought was quite good. I don't know if you mentioned the director, but it says on the trivia that Carl Urban revealed it was directed by Alex Garland rather than Pete Travis.
There was some sort of fallout there or something. I read something like that.
And the last one was just the character of Mama was originally written as an elderly woman, but what's her face?
Lena Headey.
Aye. Convinced the director to make it a middle-aged person with a male hater personality. So Not
Oh, so
too
the
many.
person that got the role managed to convince him to change it to her.
Well, I think the character was probably promoted for casting as an elderly woman, but she probably applied and then tried to like make a case for it, you know.
Plus, it wouldn't be the done thing throwing a wheel granny off a 200 floor mega building with it.
Probably not, yeah.
Maybe a bit too controversial.
There wasn't that much trivia there for it.
I'll get a few more things. So the classroom in Peachtrees, which is the tower block, the name of it, has the new American flag. It has 6 stars that represent the megastate. Also, in Mama's a penthouse, there's the judge's helmet hanging on a wall with the length of a gold chain attached to it. So it's a nod to the comic design of Judge Dredd, where the gold chain would link to the badge of the uniform collar.
I thought I'd leave a few for you.
And the Peachtree block is named after a restaurant in Shrewsbury, the place where the screenwriter Alex Garland and Judge Dredd creator John Wagner first met to discuss the film. So it's Peachtree is named after a restaurant.
We'll go there for dinner.
Who knows? A wee coffee or something like that.
It's like a big bomb shelter in there.
Right, okay. So that's the trivia out of the way. Did you have any trivia, Paul? No, off the top of your
head? Nah. Came in totally unprepared. Only decided 10 minutes before the recording that I was in. So
you look a wee bit like
Jack Hall. Sorry.
You look a wee bit like Carl Urban, Paul.
I need to shave and lose a few pounds. I need square jaw.
Well, I've got one for you, Paul. Dredd only refers to Anderson by the name 3 times, sorry. The rest of the time he calls her Rookie, so he only calls her Anderson 3 times. Right, so can I pick a few scenes then? So it starts off with the monologue that I started off with, only it's not Scotland, it's in America. It's not Dublin, it's not Glasgow, it's Boston to Washington, DC. And we learn about the judges who are the judge, jury, and executioners, and they kind of man the city really, and all the crime that's inside it. See, during the opening scene, Paul, what did you think of it, man? Like aesthetically and things like that, because it was really good in terms of the way that they shot it. Well, the kind of the skyscrapers and stuff like that.
Yeah. Oh, so this is the opening monologue. When it's kind of showing obviously the mega city, and it's kind of showing like the kind of riotous kind of nature of the city. Is that right? And the surveillance kind of state.
Yep.
As well. Yeah. I think the actual film does a really good job of showing the kind of the environment this place is. There's never really a shot that looks like a place. You get the scale, and you just get the kind of dirty, grimy, shell-shocked look of the place in every shot. Even like the kind of physical sets, it all kind of marries up. Everything just looks so dingy and horrible, and just nasty, man. They do like a really good job. It does such good scene setting. So I'm rambling because I'm so rusty. But yeah, and Carl Urban, his voiceover really does set a tone.
Aye. See as well, see the aerial shots of it, because he talks about it from Boston to Washington DC, but he also mentioned there's 800 million people in the city. But as he's saying that, you can see like the aerial shot of the full thing, and it's so crammed, it's so busy. All those streets, all those skyscrapers, so it does really set a tone. What do you think, Colin?
I wouldn't fancy living there, certainly.
No.
I thought it was quite interesting though, because they obviously emphasised the scale of the city quite a few times, or maybe at the start and the end of the film, but it's not really what the film was like in reality, is it? It's more just concentrated on that, as you said, that kind of one tower block and a small group of characters. So it's quite interesting how it's could have such a large scale, but they went down the route of having it quite small scale.
Aye. I think as well, like the building itself is a kind of microcosm of the of the full city, because what was happening in this building was happening in other buildings as well. We just didn't see that because he talks about how many crimes are reported per second and all that sort of stuff, and the judges only managed to react to 6% of the calls.
How many was it? Can you remember how many it was?
Wasn't it like 12,000 a day or something like that, or 17,000 a day?
I thought it was like 1,600 or something.
I thought it was 12,000 a minute or something like that. No, I don't even know. But it was that, but he says it's 6% of the
they can respond to.
Respond time 6%. So again, it was just a kind of microcosm. We don't know what's happening elsewhere, but it was just kind of focused in this one building.
Plus, did you know that none of that's actually CGI? It's actually just an overhead shot of Glasgow.
If you look closely enough, man, you can see me kind of waving.
You can see what's the script.
There you go.
Driving in buses.
Right, so we then kind of move on to the next scene, which is the chase scene, and you get Dredd on his motorbike, which I think Carl Urban actually drove himself. He wanted to ride that bike, and he's chasing these criminals. I think there's maybe 3 of them, maybe 4 of them. Can't remember now off the top of my head, but they are under the influence of the drug that is a prominent figure in the film called slow-mo. So the drug is slow-mo, because as I said in the synopsis, it's to do with altering reality and just puts everything into a kind of a slow state for them to enjoy it, I suppose. I thought the chase scene was really good as well. A lot of good camera work, a lot of slow motion as well, to emphasise the slow-mo drug, which was really good. This was done in this film was done in 3D, and I kind of wish I went to the cinema to see this, because I think it in the cinema would have been really good. I don't know what you think, Colin.
I've only had a couple of experiences of 3D, and I think it was when they re-released the Star Wars films, actually, Paul. I don't know if you ever came to any of them with me, but I never really was that into the 3D, but I could see why a film like this would be quite good to see. Yeah. I'm not usually that big. Sorry.
Sorry.
No, I was going to say I'm not that normally that into kind of like car chase scenes, etc. And this might be a wee bit of a spoiler, but I actually quite enjoyed the action and quite enjoyed the kind of car chase or bike chase in this film, because I don't think they overdid it. I don't think any of the scenes went on like too long, and I thought they were just kind of the right kind of length.
No, I agree with you.
I can't remember what the original question was, but before that.
No, it's the scene, the car chase scene or the bike chase scene was good. Again, it wasn't too long, it wasn't too short.
I just hate long car chase. See, when they go on for like 15 minutes, it's like you're just sitting there checking your watch. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Have you ever seen a movie called 6 Underground with Ryan Reynolds? Oh my God! There's literally a half-hour car chase at the start.
I don't fancy it then. I had this slow-mo bit ruined for me a wee bit, because I read our Twitter comments, and someone had mentioned, I think you were talking to somebody, James, about the slow-mo effect. So I went into it like expecting it, essentially.
Yeah, I was talking to a few of the Seismic supporters, and
and
I obviously just replied back to them. So I mean, it was the actual scene was good. It's actually good to see Dredd actually as well, because he was on his bike and he was reporting the crimes as they were happening as well. What do you think, Paul, of the whole scene?
Yeah, I think it was really well done, and I think it's a good way of like showing at the start of the film how the law works, like how Dredd works with the control and that, how everything's reported, like communications wise, and I think it's a good way of showing like how fearful the criminals are of the judges as well, because like as soon as they see the judge, it's like, oh man, you better start, like we're gonna die, like you need to shoot him or otherwise we're dead, like we're not gonna escape here. that's when they start to panic and freak out, and that's when they end up running over like an innocent and stuff. But the bike looked cool as hell. I wish I had a bike like that. And I think it was just a good, solid start to the movie. After the monologue, get straight into the action.
So he chases the guy down, and basically he kills him as well. That the scene where he's got the hostage, and he talks to him. As he's speaking to him, he's telling him his sentence, and the whole kind of that kill scene was good. He goes, "What did you say?" Hot shot, and he just shoots the guy right in the mouth, and you just sees. There's a lot of violent scenes in this film, and there's a lot of good kill scenes. We'll go into maybe our favourite ones later on. I think.
I feel like that was such an inefficient way to kill that guy, though. It was just like such. Like, instead of just shooting him, he was like, "I'm just gonna light him on fire. Hopefully that'll kill him and save the hostage."
Well, that's that. Because you shoot him right in the mouth. Would they have had enough time to pull the trigger? I don't even know. Like, I don't obviously been in a situation like that. But it's like,
what if it shot him and it didn't go in his mouth? It just like bounced off him. Like, oh, ow.
But I think
you're overthinking it again.
I am sorry.
But that's the nature of the judge's guns. Do you know what I mean? It's like he tells it to do something, and it'll do it, and it'll aim with precision. So obviously, it's he aimed for the mouth, and the gun just fed the homing device into the mouth. So it was a good kill, man. Thereafter, he reports it back to the Hall of Justice, and he is called back to the Hall of Justice to be introduced to a new rookie, and he's to take her under his wing. So this is the introduction of Anderson. I can't remember her first name now, come to think of it.
Russell.
Russell Anderson. No. Aberdeen player. Cassandra Anderson. So this is we're introduced to her, and she is behind a kind of a window or a wall or something like that, and she's talking to the chief judge is talking to her, and basically, in order to convince Judge Dredd to take her, he's trying to prove her psychic abilities. So, what did you make of the introduction to Cassandra Anderson, aka the rookie, Paul?
Paul went
I think it does well to kind of subvert your expectations of her, because it's kind of going through like the whole thing. Like, she was pretty suboptimal at all the tests. Like, she was okay, but she wasn't great and all that kind of stuff. So I think it's going to be a bit of a slog throughout the movie with her. It's going to be like a buddy cop kind of thing. She's going to be like messing up all the time. But then she has that wee moment where she's having to describe Dredd through the two-way mirror. And it's like anger and control, but behind the control. And she's like, it's okay. Don't need to go any further. But yeah, you're right. He's an angry, controlling man.
Yeah.
But he does a good job of like, it's like very to the point. Like, this is her powers. This is what she can do. She's not the best recruit, and obviously this is not sitting right with Dredd, because he's very by the books. If somebody's good, they're good. If they're bad, they're bad. If they're not good enough, they're good. If they're not, they're not. So, yeah, good introduction, I'd say.
She appears quite nervous as well, doesn't she, though? Because she's obviously she's like, as you would be nervous being a rookie judge. Do you know what I mean? She's trying to prove herself, and having to prove herself to Judge Dredd. He's like the one who everyone wants to be. Do you know what I mean? And he doesn't really want Andy to kind of drag him down. Really, he just again operates by the rule book, and doesn't really want to have anybody kind of tell him otherwise. What did you make of the introduction of Judge Anderson then?
I thought it was good because although they'd established the world and the lead character, it wasn't very clear what the plot of the film was going to be at the very start. So when that happened, I was like, right, okay, this is going to be the plot. So obviously this character is going to try and become a judge. I thought I forgot the name, Anderson, yeah, or the rookie. I thought she was really interesting because she had a bit of kind of nuance about her in the sense of she didn't look like she really wanted to kill people. She was quite like empathetic towards like the technician later in the film and letting him go. And there was just like a lot of layers to her. She'd obviously had as a mutant, but there's a lot more underneath that you're never quite sure what her ambitions are. Like she doesn't seem that bothered about becoming a judge, really. Like she kind of just accepts it's not going to happen. And it was interesting to see as well because obviously Dredd's got the mask on the helmet on the whole time, but you can see wee aspects of that he cares a wee bit now and again. Like he's got this kind of gruff demeanor, but I think he does have a wee bit of like I think he cares about Anderson a wee bit, and you see that at different points throughout the film.
I see the relationship kind of growing as the film goes on.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So, aye, the whole kind of her role was she's a psychic, which plays a massive role later on in the film because you need the abilities at some point. But she does bring a kind of a human nature to it because Dredd is almost like a robotic response to everything, isn't it? It's like again played by the rule book and whatever, but she brings a human element to it that everybody's guilty of what you think they are. There's other variables in play here. Do you know what I mean? So when we find that out later in the film, when she does save the techie.
that's going to sound like a stupid question, but see how she's a mutant and Dredd comes from a comic book. Is there any correlation in any way between Dredd and the X-Men, or could there be?
I'll let Paul take that one.
I don't know. Is Dredd not like DC comics, like kind of that side of things? So probably not.
A good
I don't think
crossover,
so.
really.
Like, see, there's like I watched Dredd this morning. And I was like going through YouTube and stuff like that. Dredd was in one of the Call of Duties, like old Judge Dredd, the comic book version, and all that kind of stuff. But to be honest, I could not tell you about the comic books at all. I've never read them or seen much about them, to be honest. So no, I don't know. Could be, but I doubt you're going to see Judge Dredd, Iso-Cuban Cyclops at any point.
Well, that was something I wanted to mention earlier. See the punishments, like they have like names for them, like the locations and what happens, but a lot of the time you don't really find out what that punishment would look like. But I think just from the names they give them and the names of the locations, they sound not very pleasant.
No, I don't think they're meant to be. You know what I mean, but I was saying to Paul kind of off air. There's they talk about ISO cubes and all that, don't they, and all the rest of it. And for the under 18s, under 16s, it's tube cubes. So it was kind of links to a kind of Demolition Man kind of thing because that's what happened in that film. We were talking about the original Judge Dredd film. It was kind of links to Demolition Man there as well. Not only Stallone, but it's just the way that the actual kind of tropes of the films are. But anyway, I'm not here to talk about that. I hate to talk about Dredd, the 2012 one. So it's the rookie's first day. She's with Dredd, and they get a call. They get numerous calls, and basically Dredd says to the rookie, to Anderson, right, it's up to you. Which one we're going for? And she picks to go to the homicide. The 3 murders happened at Peach Trees. So off they go to the block to investigate the triple homicide, and they find out it's linked to the slow-mo drug. So they go to Peach Trees. The entrance, of this, they walk in. It's quite daunting. They're on their way in to find out, to find the perpetrators essentially, and it's walking into a building like that. It's so busy. It's the hallways are busy. The lights are all flickering. It's quite a really dystopian atmosphere. And we get to this. We meet. Who's they see the guy. They meet the medic guy. Where else is he in?
I don't even know. Okay, I've seen him before. His voice sounds familiar, but I've no
He's
idea.
so familiar. He's so familiar. I just couldn't remember what he's saying. But anyway, he kind of tells the judges about slow-mo and who's to blame for this. It's the Mama clan, and so off they go to find out who killed him, essentially. This scene is good for its slow motion as well. But Colin, see this scene where they first walk into Peach Trees and they approach the gang members and the kind of the fight scene. What did you make of that?
Yeah, I think it's a good setting because I think before this scene you see Mama, like you basically see what happened before the murders.
Aye.
How I think they were like basically selling drugs on like their turf, and she's basically, what was it she said, like skin them and throw them out the window
Over the balcony.
Yeah, and it's interesting. Like I've spoke before about like, the boys and like Violent Night being maybe too kind of gory for me. This was this was kind of just right. Like I didn't mind the violence and the gore in this film. I found what my kind of limit was. So I think it's quite good that we've seen beforehand like how the murders occurred, because then you know what Dredd and Anderson are coming into, so you kind of know what the stakes are like. It also shows Mama's ruthlessness, that's how she dealt with the situation, to those kind of extremes. So yeah, I think that'll kind of set you up for going into the lion's den, essentially.
But even like when we walk through the building, like we don't really see, even though we don't see Mama at particular points, all the graffiti on the building and all that, all the lights flickering, like I was saying before, it's very, very dark and as if they're going into the unknown type of thing. You know what I mean? So, Paul, what did you think of it?
Yeah, just kind of echoing what Colin was saying. Although I will say, see the medic guy, he was a bit of a snitch, wasn't he? He basically told the judges, like, this is all what's going down. And then when he needed help, they're like, nah, nothing to do with me. And also, had to check who he was. And apparently he was in the Jumanji movie you just watched.
That's where you go in.
He's an elevator guard or something.
Right, okay. So,
I don't know.
There you go.
But yeah, so what's the question again?
Just what you thought of the kind of the first kind of
the first setting
when we first walked into the mega block.
Yeah, I think it looks really cool. It's almost like a big mall, isn't it? When they first walk in, and the majority of it looks like kind of like wee families and stuff that are all like an actual lived-in place. Also, when they're walking in, they see the wee homeless guy.
Yes.
And they'll we'll let this one slide because we've got bigger things, but you need to be gone. So they just go in and they see the state of the bodies and stuff, and the medic kind of gets them informed, tells them the kind of lay of the land, where the best places to go in is, the best place to go as well. But I think just the sheer scale of all the settings, all the extras in that as well, I think it all makes it feel like it is a big kind of crammed in world and a big crammed in futuristic world. I really like the kind of aesthetic of it. Plus, you see the bodies and it is quite grim. It's it kind of gives me like flashes of like a Verhoeven kind of film, like a Total Recall or a RoboCop kind of feel, just the kind of hyper violence, hyper gore.
No, definitely give you the RoboCop aspect of it. See, I was going to say something there as well. Forgot now. I train of thought. I was just going to say it looked like obviously there were wee families. You can see children and kind of mums and that past well, but also it kind of felt like a prison as well, didn't it? The way it was like in the whole kind of the block, it was like a kind of row of doors, like kind of mirrors, kind of cells and things. I thought so. It kind of looked like a prison as well.
And see when you see the blast doors coming down, like barely anyone has windows. There's like windows for a few levels, and the rest don't, and it's like, ooh.
Yeah, so it's just concrete. Before I move on, it's probably important to say this as well. Judge Dredd highlights the rookie about what deems to be a fail rather than what is deemed to be a pass. So he goes like that, right? This is if you lose your primary weapon, you fail. If you cast the wrong judgment, you fail. So every opportunity he's asking her what the judgment, what the punishment is, what the consequence is. And you spoke about the homeless guy at the start. He just says like, what's the punishment here? And she told him what the 3 months in the ISO cubes or whatever. But we'll look for the murders first. And he's like, hey, don't be here when we come back. So there was that element of it. So he's not always by the rule book, come to think it, because he does prioritize like kind of different, obviously, crimes. But he could have took him if he really wanted to.
Yeah.
He technically wasn't there when he came back.
Well, we'll come to that. Right, so
Actually, to be fair, when he came back, but there's probably more of them everywhere.
So so they basically get the guy who killed or skinned all of the people who were set there to find, and what Anderson did was kind of use our psychic abilities to kind of find out that the K, I think his name was the one who skinned one of Mama's henchmen. So they decide to kind of, rather than execute him, they try to take him to the Hall of Justice so they can interrogate him. Now I don't know what that is all about, interrogating. I don't think it's going to be a pleasant thing for him, but certainly Mama didn't want it to happen because Kay was one of the kind of key aspects of the operations, and so the only way that to protect herself and protect the operation was to try and bring a lockdown to the building. So basically, Mama talks to the technician, and the technician, under duress, calls the kind of, I don't know, must be like the head office or city block, mega block or something like that.
Can you pause on the technician for a second?
Yeah, you can pause on the technician. What you want to say?
Just because he's a perfect Harry Potter and Star Wars reference in the one go.
Right. Who is he?
Well, he's General Hux in the sequels, and he's Bill Weasley in Harry Potter.
Oh yeah, so he is.
He's also Brendan Gleeson's son, and he's in Black Mirror, one of the best episodes actually.
Oh wait, I guess is it the one with the doll?
Aye,
what's it called again?
Robot boyfriend. Be right back.
Be right back. That's what it is.
So I was hoping that's why my screen name is Bill Hux. I was hoping he came up so I could just do that double tick. Move on the day.
So the technician's under duress. Obviously, he's not really part of all this. He's just got the skill set to do what he can do, but he's a victim, as we later find out anyway. So the building is under lockdown. The judge is about to leave the building with Kay, and then the concrete slams down on the poor homeless guy, and his body is in a million pieces everywhere. Which was what do you think of that scene? Seen that type of violence, Colin?
And this film, I quite liked it, but
you know what I mean.
Like, I spoke to Paul before about when I stopped watching The Boys. There was a particular scene with some, was it gills? That was the limit for me. But that I thought was quite good. We could call that foreshadowing, I suppose, James, that we saw him on the way in.
Aye, good.
Yeah. No, I thought it was quite shocking. So like I didn't really expect it to happen, but I think that was what was quite good. I did like the scene where the lockdown happened. See, when you're just seeing the shutters close, I thought that kind of really upped the stakes and made it into a kind of a locked room sort of vibe. I'd like to just touch on the prisoner who I have forgot his name.
Kay.
The guy Kay. I remember that because Paul's surname. I was kind of hoping for him to have some kind of character arc where maybe he would change for the better in some way, but he was just a horrible guy throughout the film, and deserved what he got.
Aye. I'll go in a wee second, Paul. It's going to go into a bit more depth on when lockdown happens. So lockdown happens. You can see it from every point of view. Like the people who live in the rooms. You can see that, as you said, Paul. Some of the shutters coming down in some rooms. Some didn't have any. And you can hear the alarm go off and basically saying, don't panic. It's just a lockdown. So the security system is on for a reason. They must get this from time to time, of course, because he does talk to the kind of
The control.
the control aspect, control, and you get Mama's voice coming over the kind of tannoy, and it's basically saying there's two judges in the building. I want them dead. Bring me them. But as she's saying it, she's very kind of calm as well. It's very calm in speaking, but then at the same time threatening people. So if you aim to help the judges, then I want to kill you and your future generations of families. So she's not messing about either. So the judges are locked in this massive prison. I'm going to call it prison now because they're locked in it, and there's no way for them to get out. So all they can do is fight or hide, really. And the way that Mama kind of talks as well to her kind of clan is that there's different levels, because they're all now part of Mama clan. There used to be different clans and different levels, but they all now work for Mama, and then every kind of level has got henchmen who are going to bring down the judges. So with all that I've spoken about there, Paul, what did you think of the kind of hunting in for the judges at that point in time?
Like saying, Lena Headey was very menacing when she was giving out the call. Excuse me. And obviously when, I think was it the medic was explaining that basically all 200 floors belonged to Mama. There used to be 3 main gangs and she just totally annihilated them all after taking control. So it just all belongs to her. So it's basically an unlimited amount of manpower, weapons. Yep. Plus they've got their operation to protect as well. So they've got like their own kind of guys for that. But yeah, you see the hunt getting on and you see everybody grabbing their guns, start roaming the corridors. And was it the first place? Was it Dredd? They go to the medical centre first because I think that's going to be their best kind of refuge on level 25 or something.
They got the med centre. Aye.
Yeah. And I was quite surprised though, because like, see the prisoner, Kay, I kept thinking that he was going to like keep giving their position away or like talk or it, but he doesn't talk for a good portion of the movie whilst he's getting just dragged around by the two of them.
That's because she can read everything he's saying anyway.
Aye, I know, but like, is like you'd think he would be like talking shit or like just trying to like wind them up or something like that, but it doesn't say a peep for like ages until he starts to try and get in Anderson's head.
That's a good point. Do you think he would try to give away the location so he, you know what I mean? But
yeah,
maybe
because they know they're not going to. They know the judges can't really kill him for that, can they?
Well, maybe he could because their lives are in danger.
So and he's already been judged for his crimes before that. Maybe, I don't know.
Aye.
Don't really know how it works, but I just would have thought he would be a bit more trying to cause a bit more chaos and just being compliant and getting shepherded about. But that's by the by. But yeah, like the hunt itself, man, like it throughout the whole stages of the film, like they're basically being hunted, and it shows like all the arsenal they have, like they got gas grenades and all.
What about you, Colin?
Yeah, I've got a bit just about Anderson's first kill when she kills one of the hunters, and then she goes to an apartment, and then ends up speaking to the guy's wife because she's talking about how her husband's out there, and she looks at the photo. And again, I think that showed Anderson's kind of empathy. Like, I don't think she felt good about the fact she'd taken out this husband and father as well. And there was a couple of scenes during the hunt and towards the end of the film, you see some kids wandering about and looking out at everything that's going on. And I thought that up the stakes even more when you realise there are young children in this building as well. Do you know what I mean?
Well, we see young children obviously approaching the judges as well, don't we? So,
yeah.
So I mean, there's various kind of different kind of fight scenes within it. I think kind of the first one is where they take down the 6 or 7 guys, and he throws like kind of the stun grenade, I think, in the lobby or something like that.
Yeah.
Again, just shows you how brutal the judges are, because they know that they can pick off the enemies, and the bad guys really, really kind of very quickly, especially with the weapons they've got, because they've got different settings on the weapons that will illustrate different type of kind of armory, which is really good.
Yeah, I quite liked how they did that and how you saw the close up of what weapon they were using at that time.
Aye. And we also see the armour piercing from another judge later on that shows you that aspect of it.
It's funny how everyone called Lex is usually a bad guy, isn't it?
We've got a wee bit of so Lex in Latin means law. So that guy, that guy was called Law.
That's very cultured, James.
Yeah. Anyway, so we talk about different kind of fight scenes as we go on, but I want to go into the interrogation of Kay. So essentially, basically what this is here, that Anderson, the rookie, uses her psychic abilities because Dredd knows that he's involved in Mama's gang in a much more kind of deeper sense, and he basically Dredd's like, you'll talk eventually, like, kind of thing. And then Anderson says to him, you won't need to talk, just let me interrogate him. And she basically is in his head. So she basically kind of goes into his head, where it's a kind of dream sequence type of thing. And he's no chained, he's no handcuffed or anything like that, but he obviously in his head he can do what he wants to do. So he tries to kill Anderson, tries to perform kind of sexual fantasies on her and all that sort of thing. But really he's always outwitted with Anderson, because again she's the one controlling him. And then eventually find out that Mama is the control of the drug slow-mo to different mega blocks and all the rest of it across the city. So Dredd and Anderson are in the lion's den of this drug being produced and being exploited out and things. So this scene for me kind of showed Kay in a different way, because really she's not just a judge. She's again a judge with a psychic ability who doesn't have to kill to get answers or to hurt to get answers. So I don't know what you thought of that scene of the interrogation, Colin.
I thought it was quite interesting because from my perspective, you felt at times that Kay was starting to get the upper hand a wee bit, but then it just kind of turned around. Like there was a few bits where it looked like Kay was getting to Anderson, but then it quickly just switched the other way. So I thought they were quite interested in that sense, and obviously a lot of the flashbacks you see. I'd be interested to go back and actually maybe watch the kind of the visions in slow motion to see just a bit more of what was actually happening, because it does come quite quickly, you know.
You know why you want to watch the visions back in slow mo, you dirty bugger.
No, it's the kind of sequence, and they happen quite a lot in films where they throw a lot of backstory at you from the characters, and it happens with Mama later in the film as well. You see a lot of stop mimicking my hand gestures. You see a lot. You see a lot of these things later in the film as well.
Aye.
It was a good way to find out the information.
At the end as well, obviously when she comes out his head, then you can see him that he's obviously peed himself as well, which shows you the nature of what she's done to him. You know what I mean? Paul, what did you think of it?
Yeah, I thought it was really clever actually, and I don't know if it's true or not. I seen a wee video and it was talking about how Anderson basically did Inception on Kay, because when she first gets in his head and he's uncuffs himself, the first thing he does is shoots her with her own gun, and like obviously she's like, "Oh, you can't hurt me in here." And then when it goes to the next time when she's about to get killed, then he's like, "Oh, I've always wanted one of these." And he goes to shoot her, and it obviously doesn't recognise him, and it blows up his hand. I think the video saying like, "Oh, well, that was her way of kind of putting in his head that he could use her gun without any consequences," kind of thing. And I was like, that's pretty smart if that's the way it was intended. Because I would have thought, like when Steven said, "Oh, I've always wanted one of these," I would have thought it was common knowledge that people couldn't use the judge's guns, if you know what I mean. Like it was like a common thing that they didn't lose their guns.
But obviously, I don't even remember that being said at the start of the film. I know in the original Judge Dredd film that they do make a big deal of the fact that only a judge can use the weapon.
Aye.
Each weapon is a unique kind of code for that judge. Do you know what I mean? So you would have thought then, okay, everybody would have known that only a judge can use that weapon, and but maybe that her psychic ability was that powerful though that she made him think that he could use it.
Yeah,
I never thought of that.
Near that, I watched a wee video on it. I was like, that's pretty smart if that's what it's intended. Because I know at the start when he's like suiting up and stuff, and he gets his gun and it loads up saying like ID confirmed and stuff. So I've seen that. And but I don't know if it was. If it was maybe that, but I thought it was really cool. But yeah, I thought the use of her psychic abilities were good because she wasn't really getting freaked out or anything by anything this guy was trying to do. She was always in control. And like these movies and that, you can always like have people like because they're a rookie and they've got powers and stuff, you can always have them going a bit funny, or they don't know how to control it or have a mishap or misread something, but she was always capable and in control, which I really liked about her powers. So like you never really felt like there's any jeopardy in her using her powers, or everything was just fine. Like she could take care of herself even when she got taken like prisoner.
I've got a question. I've only seen it once, obviously, but how does she manage to get taken when she's psychic? Would she not have like seen that coming, or is there something that explains that?
She was focused on the two boys in front of her with the guns.
It's a bit cheap, is it not?
Well, I'm assuming she can't read like everyone's mind at the same time. She's probably just focused saying, "These boys going to pull the trigger on me."
Not good enough.
Now who's thinking about things too much?
No,
I actually thought of that when I was watching it. I was like, how does a psychic get taken off like that, you know?
Well, fight about it as well. Obviously, later on in the film, where we get the other judges who come in who are working for Mama, she used her psychic abilities on the other judge because she knew that she was there to help her. So it must be just like a one-on-one thing. So I'm not bothered with that, mate, to be honest with you. I think obviously our primary objective at that point in time was to disarm the two boys and to think what they're doing rather than thinking.
She did seem quite preoccupied, I suppose, when she was taken, but I was just trying to be clever.
Get up, yeah.
Obviously, Colin, you yourself, are you're not a big action movie fan, right? And that's fair enough. Everybody's got their own opinions and things, but there's a lot of action in this film. The use of kind of Gatling guns and grenades, and just the way that they kill people anyway. Overall, mate, what was your kind of overall kind of feeling on the action, the guns and all the weapons they use in the film?
As I've said a few times, like I always say that, but there are always like wee exceptions. Like I like the variety of the weapons that they were using, which made it a bit fresher as you kind of went through it. But as I mentioned, in terms of the car chase, I also don't think anything was too long. Like, see if I look at the Matrix as like a flip point, I felt like sometimes some of the action scenes went on too long in the Matrix, whereas I felt with this one it was a wee bit tighter, a wee bit sharper, just in terms of like kind of like the time spent on the scenes. So I never felt like there was no point in this movie when I was bored or kind of clock watching. I was actually pretty engaged the whole way through it.
Aye. What about yourself, Paul?
Yeah. What was the question again? Sorry.
What did you make of the kind of overall action with the guns and the weapons they use in the film?
Oh, tremendous. I really enjoyed the variety, like Colin was saying. Just when you thought he didn't have another trick up his sleeve, he'd have something like the white phosphorus incendiary bullet that went across the complex and got all the guys that were trying to shoot him at the phone booth. I thought that was great. The Gatling guns, I thought was, I don't know, I felt like it was a wee bit out of place. Not out of place, but like a bit far of a stretch. I was like, I could deal with like the hard guns and that, but are they really going to have like 3 Gatling guns that they can just pop down and they're going to blow a whole level away kind of thing? Don't know. And then that whole thing where they're shooting the Gatling guns at Dredd. How do they know like where he is when he starts running behind the walls? Because they keep shooting and he just keeps running and like, oh, I could just duck down.
The technician guy was tracking them, was he not?
Was he? I don't know. I was because they're like looking ahead. He's like, oh,
I was
fire when they're all pointing in the middle. I'm like, how do you know he's anywhere there?
He was looking at cameras quite a lot, and he knew where Dredd and Anderson were quite a lot.
Fair enough. I never really picked up on that kind of sequence. Or
maybe
I really thought it was weird that they were always shooting and they kind of knew where he was roughly, and the bullets were kind of following him. But action-wise, good. When the judges came, thought that was really good too.
That was a big twist for me. See when they approached and the 2 judges were at the main entrance, and then all of a sudden they went in, and then what's the not medic guy? What's the guy we were talking about earlier?
Medic
guy. And then they were like, "Would you testify to that?" And then they just murdered him. Like, I thought that was a pretty good twist that a lot of the judges were on like the payroll of Mama.
I thought they would have helped. I don't know. I thought they would have maybe drawn out a bit longer because it was just like, oh, we need to call our friends or something now. And then the next minute, it was just like, they turn up and come in. It's like, well, I don't know. I think the first time I watched this, I was like, well, they're going to be bad. Because it was like straight away, it's like, oh, we need to call our friends. Here's 4 judges. And then they let them in straight away. So it was like, well, they're going to be bad, aren't they?
Aye.
I still thought it worked quite. I still thought it worked quite well. Like,
yeah, I don't know. I just thought they'd drawn it a bit longer. Like, instead of saying like, "Oh, better call our friends" or something like maybe just have the judges show up.
I know, but they, Dredd and Anderson, they kind of called in back up earlier, so there was the 2 phone calls. So you maybe wouldn't have known who they were responding to, you know?
Yeah, I don't know. I just thought it could have been drawn out a bit longer, like the reveal that they were bad, rather than, you know what I mean? Instead of just shit off the bat, them just walking in and shooting the medic guy, even though you kind of had an inkling they were bad.
Yeah. So we can kind of touch on that then, because we kind of spoke about, Anderson getting kind of kidnapped anyway by Kay, who takes her to Mama's kind of penthouse lair, what do you call it that? And at that point in time, the other judges come in. So they're basically the 4 judges who are out there already are hunting Dredd himself. And there's a few good scenes here, especially when I think it's I can't remember his name now. I can't remember the judge's name now, but he says choke on that, and that kill scene where Dredd uses his gun to basically crush his windpipe. Was a good scene. I like that kill.
Was that Chan Sector 9 or something, or Sector 8 or something like that? It's Chan anyway.
different sector, and that's when he also finds out that obviously the two phone calls that you mentioned, Colin, that they're bogus.
Aye.
And then
I got so confused during this bit because their armor's so similar. See the bit where Dredd is sitting behind the wall and he gets hit. I thought it was the other guy that got hit because like they do look, obviously the armor is so similar, and so it was quite a nice reveal for me when you find out it was Dredd that got hit. That's just probably me. It was quite hard to track.
I love your confusion during firefights.
It was quite hard to track during the fights, I thought, because they are wearing the same armor. The only differentiation was the Dredd written on the armor.
Aye, well, that's it. So I mean, at this point in time, Dredd's fighting, a few of the other judges. We've got the female judge who is, going to go and kill Anderson because she's like, well, she won't know who I'm up, and she'll appear to be for help, but she doesn't know that she's obviously a psychic and a mutant that way. So that's where Anderson's got the upper hand. So I think we all expect that Dredd's going to save Anderson. That's what we all think. Well, that's what I thought anyway when I first watched it. And she's really saved herself because she dies with the gun, exploding, and then Anderson kills the female judge. I can't remember her name. I don't remember what her name was. So she saved herself, and effectively, as you spoke about that there, about Dredd getting his armor pierced by the other judge. Dredd at the time is trying to wait for time because he's waiting on obviously Anderson coming in, and then Anderson's the one that saves Dredd. So I thought that was going to be a wee kind of plot twist as well. We all maybe assumed that the Dredd would save Anderson because she gets taken to the lair and he was going to go and fight them all and take them all down, but didn't really appear to be that way.
I like that line where it's like, what is it, like, what are you waiting? What he said, wait, didn't he? No,
Aye,
wait.
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 Aye.
I thought that was quite good.
Wait for what?
The great Judge Dredd says wait. Aye.
I thought
that. How do you think you knew to like spare some time? Like if you knew Anderson was coming, or did like Anderson send him a message to tell him if she was coming? Or
I'm not usually sure because I was like, where did she appear from?
Yeah. And where would she know he was, kind of thing? Unless she was maybe, I don't know. It's maybe just clutching at the straws there.
Aye. Because before we seen Anderson was somewhere different, and then she seemed to appear where Dredd was. You know what I mean? So
seeing that same firefight, how good is it when he was running out of bullets and he shot the guy in the head with the high explosive and it went.
That's what I mean. No, like the action scenes and the kill scenes are amazing. So again, just didn't maybe expect it. So was it maybe another kind of plot twist there where Anderson, the rookie, is the one that saves Dredd. He uses his first aid kit to sew himself up. I like that wee mechanism as well. He kind of sewed himself up and it just kind of like clamps shut, which is good. But then we get to the end, the kind of the Dredd versus Mama, kind of the final fight scene. And basically, what happens is that Dredd and Mama kind of fighting out the penthouse suite, and then Mama kind of reveals to him that she's got a bomb into it. It's attached to a kind of heartbeat, a pulse. So if the pulse stops, it kind of it'll blow the building up. Kind of reminded me I lost a wee bit there, Colin. Where Kimi on the boat, he had the big explosives.
Yeah. See, obviously how they found Mama was because the technician basically willingly gave up the information because he wasn't buying into the regime at all, because as Anderson saw, like he'd been had his eyes like replaced with like cybernetics, and he'd been like, tortured to like say certain things. So I thought I quite liked his character, not just because it was Domhnall Gleeson. I just thought he was quite good in that he was that kind of grey, maybe not even grey character. He's just a good guy who's just in a bad situation. So him and Anderson, I thought, were the most like intriguing characters in the film.
I suppose in a way, you do kind of have to have somebody on the kind of the bad side that can turn good, or just to, have some kind of redemption kind of path. Do you know what I mean?
It's funny because spoilers, but no one will care. He did that in Rise of Skywalker as well, didn't he, Paul?
He was the spy.
He was the spy, yeah.
So Tanishan, sorry, I missed that bit out. That obviously at that point in time as well, she lets him go, and Judge Dredd's like, he's a accessory to murder and all that sort of thing. He's going to spend or be executed, and she says no, he's just a victim. Again, bringing a human side to it, letting him go because he, again, is a victim. He is no part of this. He's got no choice in it. And then leading to the kind of the scene where Mama reveals to Dredd that she's got a kind of explosive device attached to a heartbeat monitor, and Dredd's asking questions at this point. He goes, "What's the range on that thing like?" And he's like, "Oh, it's we're so far underground, whatever." And then he's obviously making kind of calculated decisions in his head about, if I throw her over the balcony, will it then trigger the device in the penthouse? So he takes a chance, but before that, he gives her the one last kind of hit with the slow-mo drug, which I think was a great scene in itself, because he's reading her rights, essentially, her crimes, and then came her to death by her own drug. At the same time, over the balcony, kind of from before at the start of the film, she threw those guys over the balcony. So kind of reflecting that kind of mirror image of what happened earlier in the film.
See that camera shot at the bottom as well?
The slow-mo drug kicks in place, and that's where the slow motion happens. Now, this is a bit where I think the 3D would be good, because as he throws her over, you can see all the kind of the glass, the confetti coming down and all that as well, and you can hear the music. But it's not just that; it's the fact that it goes from slow motion to real time quite quickly, so you can see it from what it would be like throwing somebody off that. But then you see her in slow motion, which she's experiencing through that moment in time. But it's taken ages to fall, because that's her going through that drug. So I'll go with Paul this time. Start with Paul. What did you make of that scene and the kind of the end bit where she makes her demise?
Yeah, I thought it was really, I don't know, it's weird to say, but it's like a beautifully looking shot, even though it's a shot of like a horrible person getting thrown out a window over like 200 stories. But it's like really nice, and like the music and the visuals. It's like, I think all the shots involved in the slow-mo are really done quite well. I don't know if we talked about it earlier, the drug bust when they first get Kay. Like that would have been good in 3D as well, because you see other people getting shot through the face and all that, and the bullets going through, and that's from the slow-mo perspective as well. Same kind of music, same kind of, I don't know what they call it. Is it like a lens flare or something? Like it's like really bright colours and like almost euphoric. So yeah, I think it's a really good way to show what's going on in the action, have it hyper violent, but also make it look really good, which is really a really weird twist on it, if you know what I mean.
Oh, definitely.
But the end scene is kind of poetic justice, because obviously said, like, she starts off amazed, she's throwing people off, she gets thrown off herself, she's experiencing what she's made others experience herself, and it's brutal but beautiful. There we go.
What you calling?
when she revealed she had the explosive, I couldn't actually work out how he was going to get out of that situation. So I just thought it was really clever thinking to like throw her far enough away that she wouldn't be able to set it off. But I guess it's also kind of symbolic of the fact that she was the head of the organization. So she was at the very top of the building with that kind of status symbol. So obviously that created the situation for her where she would fall from the very top and have that big fall. And as gruesome as it was, that scene where that you're underneath like the glass and you see her dropping on top of it was pretty well done as well. And in terms of the slow-mo, although I said it was kind of spoiled for me, not spoiled for me in a negative way, I just read the comment. I feel like they used it just enough. They only used it maybe 3 or 4 times throughout the film. I think if it had been used too often, then it maybe could have got, not old, but overused. But I think they used it just the kind of right amount of time.
Is that a wee cheeky dig at Rebel Moon, is it?
I suppose it is, yeah. I suppose
Yes,
that was one
yes
of our,
it is, because it's a piece of shit.
that was one of our early ones of 2024, wasn't it?
It was.
It was, and I'm sorry for putting you through it.
Aye, so again, the visuals or the close-ups and that were really good, man. You know what I mean? It was just, I think, like you say, from the top of the tree to the bottom of it. Do you know what I mean? Her empire's kind of fallen, you know, as she has. So, it was just a great. I agree with you as well, mate. In terms of the slow motion, I think the slow motion wasn't overused at all. I think it was just done right, because they could have made a mistake of just having it every scene where they, you know, but they reduced the number of takes for the drug being used, which therefore made it a bigger impact, because when the drug was being used, the slow motion was then happening. You know what I mean? So it was to give us as viewers a feel for what they're experiencing, which is, you know, meant to be some euphoric thing. So, aye, very good. It was very good. They kind of then, you know, comes to a kind of end, because they come down and you know, in the lift and things like that, and they're moving out, and the lockdown is now over. It's lifted. Both Dredd and Anderson are leaving the mega block. This is where we see the chief judge again, and she's asking the questions. But before that, Anderson already makes the assumption that she's failed, because she already knew that she lost her primary weapon. So she hands Dredd the badge back, but he doesn't really say anything. He just can acknowledge the fact that she thinks she's failed as she walks off into the street. But then the chief judge comes in and asks him the questions. Well, was she a pass or a fail? And he said that she's a pass, because what she'd done, you know, and quite rightly so as well, she should be able to pass. At the end of the day, she saved his life, even though she did lose her weapon, which again, by the rules, Dredd was a man by the book. He was willing to kind of let that go, because at the end of the day, he did save her life.
There's a wee link to Police Academy there, because that's kind of like how Police Academy ends. It's the cadets that save the day in it.
Yep, that's right. So what did you make of her arc as a character then, Colin? Anderson's arc?
I've said through it, I think she's one of the more interesting ones, because she's obviously got that kind of interesting backstory of being the psychic, but she's also a bit of a reluctant hero in a sense. Like, she's not really too keen on violence or taking people's lives, and she's always happy to give people a second chance. So I think she showed a lot more humanity than a lot of the other what's the word I'm looking for? Judges. So yeah, I think she kind of made the film in a lot of ways. Like, I think if you take her out the film, you've lost all the psychic stuff, you've lost a lot of the humanity and a lot of the kind of grey areas, and I think she was really important to the whole film. Plus, you also had, it's kind of her story in a sense, because it's her trial and it ends with her the decision of whether she gets to do the job or not.
I suppose if we take Anderson the rookie out of it, it just becomes like a commando, like Arnold Schwarzenegger film, who goes into the building and just starts killing everybody. We needed that other character in there, and where it reflects a wee bit on the Raid. I know we didn't really speak about it, but the Raid is like it's a Korean film, I think, isn't it, Paul?
It is. No, it's oh, come back to me, but it's no Korean.
Right.
It's,
the Raid is basically like this, the cops, but he's a rookie as well, and he's into a big building, and it's a very similar.
Would I like it if I like this?
I would say so. I prefer the Raid actually than this, but
yeah.
it is dubbed though, so you need to watch it with subtitles.
I like it. I like it without. I like it without the dubbing. I like it just with their language, but with the English subtitles. Is it Malaysian? Is that what it is?
It's Malaysian. You're right, mate. It is Malaysian.
I knew started with an M. I couldn't remember what it was.
Malaysian.
Sean Maloney's home country.
Okay.
Or Indonesian. Indonesian.
Is it Indonesian? It's somewhere out there anyway. But
it's something Asian. There we go.
So, what about you, Paul? What do you think of Anderson's character art then as she came through the film?
I thought she was always pretty steady throughout the whole film. I thought it would have been easy to have her be a bit of like bumbling or like a bit of a liability, but throughout the film she holds her own like throughout the whole film. And I know Colin was saying about like humanity and stuff. Like, I know she has a wee hesitation, but like that husband that she shoots. It's like a guy, but it turns out a random guy. They take refuge in his flat, and it's a husband she had to shoot out in the hallway. Like Dredd's like he's a criminal.
Keep talking.
And that noise. He's a criminal, and she still executes him basically because it's her job.
She was still seemed quite reluctant. She wasn't like right.
She wasn't like straight up like.
She was still thinking about it, or
But I thought there'd be a bit more pushback from her if she was, I don't know, like more like had more humanity in her. If you know what I mean. So I wouldn't say she was totally not a good guy, but she had a lot of like Judge Dredd in her, if you know what I mean.
They're kind of going into it to make the city a better place overall, aren't they? And
I did like her kind of altruistic sense of things, like wanting to make a difference. And Lizzie Dredd goes is like admirable. But I thought she done pretty steady throughout the whole film. Obviously, she does come to her own when she's like buddying up at the start, and then when she gets separated, she does save Dredd, so she does prove her worth. And even though she knows she's failed, she still wants to go through with getting to Mama and like arresting or executing whatever they were going to do with her at the time, saving peach trees. So I thought she was a very decent character, a lot better than I was expecting, to be honest, because sometimes the kind of buddy of the main the main title character gets the short end of the stick and doesn't really get any good shots or good time, but she had a really good time of it.
No. Again, I'm the same. I really enjoyed the character. It was a kind of a shining light. Again, it just could have been Dredd in the building himself. Do you know what I mean? It just wasn't feasible. I think you had to have some kind of different kind of character coming and shining through. So that was good. So that is it then. Dredd of 2012. Now, before we reach our scores, I'm going to read out some of the Twitter comments. There was none on Facebook, so it was Twitter. I just asked folk about what's their thoughts, opinions on it. We needed Voids podcast. It's a bloody shame this never launched on a full Dreadverse. Urban, Thilby, Heady were superb. It was one of the few films to do a 3D properly as well. I think it initially got written off as a Raid ripoff within a similar plot, despite critics mostly loving it. I then replied, Colin seen that reply and thought I'd ruined it for him. Reboot, deboot, who we were meant to have on as a guest, and unfortunately the scheduling was off. So we will try and get reboot on at some point. He said there was supposed to be a show called Mega City 1 based in this universe, but looks around, as you can see, no sign of it. Now, I said a show on this magnitude would be fantastic. I'd absolutely love it. I don't know what you guys think.
I think it'd make a good show. Yeah, you could see it being on either like Sky or Netflix. You know.
Yeah, there's plenty of variety, plenty of gangs and stuff, and I think, like you're saying, in this universe, got like mutants and stuff and that as well to deal with. So there's not a shortage of bad guys to get.
Aye. One last comment. The Bury Our Bones with Cinema podcast. Loved this movie when it first came out. I still do. Embraced the over the top style while still managing to keep it grounded, if that makes any sense. Plus, it means we can all forget the Stallone version. Yes, it makes perfect sense, and yes, we can forget about the Stallone version.
I was actually going to watch the Judge Dredd one, but I would have had to like pay again because it's behind it's behind Amazon's everlasting paywall.
Right, okay, so that's the Twitter comments done and dusted. So I'm going to go to Paul first. Paul, what is your seismic star going to be?
I am going to give it a good solid 9. I think I do very much enjoy this movie. It's something I could go back and watch time and time again. The only thing it drags it down for me is, like I was saying, like the Gatling gun thing. It was always a bit over the top for me. It just seemed a bit like flashy for the sake of it, a bit too over the top. And some of the, I think, you know, the bit where the person's got a hostage at the start, like, and he's got saying hot shot.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like the backgrounds look a bit weird behind them, and I was like, that looks a wee bit fake, but I don't know. It annoyed me a wee bit. But 9 out of 10, really enjoyed it. Carl Urban rocks it, man. Does he take the mask off the whole movie? I like the wee bits. He's even got a wee bit of humour about him. You know what I mean? Saying like to Anderson, like, "Oh, I've noticed since you started your assessment, you forgot your helmet." And she's like, "Oh, it interferes with my powers." And he's like, "I think a bullet might interfere with it more."
Aye, that's good. There's a bit in the lift as well when she goes like, "He's thinking about taking a gun." And he goes, "Yeah." And he goes, "He's not taking a gun anymore." Yeah, that's good.
That was something we didn't really touch on. Is there is quite a lot of good bits of dialogue and memorable quotes.
Well, you can touch on it if you want now, Colin.
No, I mean, it's not. We maybe mentioned a couple. Like we liked the one where it said weights and things like that. It wasn't really something we mentioned, but I think it was quite a strong aspect of the film was the humor and some of the quotes. Yeah. I didn't really have anything else to say apart from that, but just wasn't really something we zoomed in on.
I'll say solid 9 out of 10. Thoroughly and Dredd had a good chemistry in that, and yeah, really enjoyed the movie. 9 out of 10. But if you haven't seen it, go and watch it. If you've been listening to this and you haven't watched it, then what are you doing?
Okay, then. So
Anyway.
Colin, were you dreading watching this film?
I didn't really know what to think going in, to be honest. But see, within like 10 minutes, I was actually quite on board, and it wasn't one where I was kind of watching the clock or checking the time or doing anything else. Do you know what I mean? So I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. Again, it's just kind of trivial things like the psychic getting.
Why did you think I was mad at you there?
What's that?
I think I was mad at you there.
Mad at you?
Yeah. You just said Paul. Yeah.
I can't remember why I said Paul. But yeah, the bit about the psychic getting kind of taken out. It's weird. Two of the things, and they're not really criticisms of the film as such, but it's like it'd been nice to learn a bit more about Dredd as a person. Like you don't really get that deep with his character, but obviously that's what his character is. It would also nice to have seen a bit more of the city because it is all focus just on that kind of one tower block. And I know you said that kind of represents the rest of it, but I think that's where maybe a TV show would be good in terms of fleshing out the area. I could see it being like a kind of Gotham style show in a way. Do you know what I mean? Or the Penguin, that sort of vibe. So yeah, it's a pretty, as we always say, but it's maybe becoming less so nowadays. It's not always my favorite genre of film, but I thought the action and the story and the characters was good. 8 out of 10.
Beautiful.
I'm going to give it a 9 as well.
Now I just feel lonely.
I think what you said about the Gatling gun and all that sort of thing, Paul, was I agree with that. I mean, there's certain elements of the film that just is a wee bit out of place, possibly. Do you know what I mean? But I think like the dialogue and the actual plot itself is really good. Do you know what I mean? It's a film that in the first 10 minutes, it's got you hooked, and the film does that. It's going to be really good. Do you know what I mean? So I'm quite glad it didn't really compare to the original. I mean, it's totally different. So I'm glad of that. I don't know if I went into it in a kind of way that I like the Raid, so I like this potentially the aspects of that. But for Dredd, on its own, I think it's a 9 out of 10 for me, and I liked it.
No, it is such a good movie. I think there's wee bits as well. Like, I don't know if it's maybe if we'd read the comics more, we'd get a lot more out of it possibly. Because like they talk about the bodies, like, or there's like 4 bodies for like recycling stuff like that, for like recycling, and like now that was like, what's that about? Like, what are they recycling? Are they recycling people into like food and stuff, or what is it? Like, I don't know the comics, so I could be totally wrong there. But just wee bits and pieces that would expand maybe the enjoyment of it more, just knowing wee bits and pieces more of it.
There is the recycling bot, isn't there, in the actual Judge Dredd film, like the original one? Like, it's got the recycling kind of robot thing.
Oh, is that the thing that Roy Schneider hides in?
Aye, it is.
This happened on one of the Christmas, I think it was Violent Night review. I don't know if James is in the same position on your screen, Paul, but on my screen, James is Dredd. Is that the same for you?
If you mean like, no, it's like the wee guy at Total Recall that comes at the belly.
James, your head is. I don't know. I've been thinking it the whole discussion, and I just wanted to point out that it looks like James is Dredd in this one.
I am a right, that's us done then. So, Colin, do you have 3 films for the peeps in the Twitterverse to vote for?
Right. So there was a bit of chat about continuing to do reboots, but I don't want to do that. So for my choice.
Okay.
I feel like it gives a good bit of variety. So, and I think this might just hook Paul back in again next week. Maybe some of the options, but we'll see.
The Raid.
Right. I've decided, because I've started on my phones making a wee note of films, but see if I think of a film, I've tried to think of 2 kind of films in the same genre so I can put them as my choices. So for this week, I've decided to go for movies directed by Mr. Spielberg. Okay, so I've got 3 choices here.
I know what they're going to be.
No, you don't.
I do.
No, you don't.
I can guess them for you.
No, I don't guess. Option number 1 is E.T. the Extraterrestrial.
Shite.
You're not welcome back then. Option number 2 is Raiders of the Lost Ark.
I'm going to be 3 for 3 here, 100%.
I think we maybe had a conversation about it before, so leave it with a spoiler. And option number 3 is a favourite of Paul's big brother, and maybe Paul himself, Jurassic Park. So that's the 3 I'd like to put into the poll for this week.
Okay.
None of which we've done before. We've done, I was thinking back, we've done Jaws and we've done Saving Private Ryan before, so they were kind of off the table. So that's the 3 I went for.
No, if it's ET, I'm definitely not coming back. So take that, viewers, what you will.
Well, you might be back for Jurassic Park or Indiana Jones then.
Possibly.
Right.
James is going to go on every account now. He's got like ET.
Right. Okay.
Why are you hating on ET?
Don't like it, man.
No heart.
Right. Okay. So I'll put them on the socials then, buddy. Okay, and we'll get a vote going, and then we'll see what happens to there. But we'll just finish up there then. Okay. So I'm James. I've probably written an essay on it. Paul
I've probably watched it in the wrong order.
and Colin.
I've probably not seen it.